So what does Survival Hunter mean to you?
That's a good question. See, for me, Survival Hunter is all about speed, power, dexterity. Raptor strike, raptor strike, raptor strike, flanking strike, mongoose bite, mongoose bite, mongoose bite, mongoose bite, mongoose bite. Timing.
What are you waiting for?
Global cooldown.
Okay.
Alright guys, welcome back to another video. It is you man, Cyber Grills. No copyright claims on that one. No problems there. I just wanted to kind of hit you with a disclaimer that no bees were harmed in the filming of that video. And just kind of apologize for the state of my voice and the audio, especially on this video. I was streaming on the weekend, quite a long stream, and I managed to strain my voice, and I think I'm coming down with a cold. So, excuses aside, my voice isn't going to sound too great tonight. But hopefully, you know, it will be okay, and hopefully it'll still be clear for you. I just wanted to start by saying follow me on Twitter and Twitch because you're going to be able to kind of see when I'm streaming, when new videos are upcoming, kind of get all the latest info on BFA, Legion, and what I'm doing. So definitely check that out, guys. Thank you. I appreciate it. If you're not interested in kind of the recap and you just want to skip into, you know, all the juicy new stuff coming to BFA, then just skip right ahead. I'm going to leave timestamps down in the description. So just click on one of those and it'll take you right to where you want to see. So starting things off with survival in Legion, you know, I wouldn't be amiss to say that survival was terrible. Okay, there were big things. It was gonna be a hunter melee spec. That was big. That was big. And from what I have played of it, it just isn't what it should be. So the big kind of issues with it were rotation. The traps being on global cooldown was a big issue for me, where you'd want to be using your explosive trap, you'd want to be using your caltrops, but they just wouldn't kind of sync up and they wouldn't kind of mesh well with the rest of your rotation. You were trying to get your lacerate up and trying to fit in flanking strikes while still raptor striking with your mock Nathals and your mongoose bite. It just all together there was a little bit too much, and you had such a slim window in order to execute it to a high standard. But then even when you did, it wasn't rewarding. The damage just wasn't there. It just wasn't. You know, why play such a difficult rotation when you can just play a class that's way, way easier, Rep Paladin, and get way more benefit from it? Get way higher on the meters, kind of retained your raiding spot. Not many raids that I knew of were taken on survival hunters. I mean, I never had a survival hunter in my raid the whole of Legion, not one. And that kind of tells the story for you. This is a little bit disappointing. Rotation was bad, not very good damage. Survival was a very niche spec. Not many people played it. And, I mean, there were a few people at the top that did kind of perform quite well on Survival, and they did make it competitive, but, again, just not rewarding enough for what was expected. A lot of people felt let down. They wanted it to be good, but it just wasn't. It just wasn't. You know, now hopefully because Blizzard have had some experience in Legion with Survival Hunter, they can go into BFA, keep the core sense of survival, because I think at its core it is fun, it is interesting, it is kind of quite dynamic. It just needs a little bit of chiseling. So can survival redeem itself? Well, let's see. Okay, guys, now heading into this section, we're going to be looking at the spell changes for Survival Hunter. A big one is that all of your abilities are now ranged, except for Raptor Strike. Raptor Strike is a melee ranged ability only. However, changes to Aspect of the Eagle now operate to enable Raptor Strike to be ranged. So it's on a 1.2 minute cooldown, but when you do use your Aspect of the Eagle, as you can see here, Raptor Strike becomes ranged and it throws out some cool little eagles, as it should. So that's quite a nice little change to how Raptor Strike works. Now the next big one is Flanking Strike is a talent now, you can see here, we'll get a little bit more into this in a little bit, but Flank Strike is on the level 90 talent row. So you don't have that all the time. So kind of the rotation has been condensed a little bit, which is good. That's what we're looking for. So that's nice to see. Mastery changes are another big one. So your mastery increases you and your pet's focus spending abilities, as well as uh, when your pet is active, you both regenerate health. And this scales off of your mastery. So as you can see, I'm not wearing any boots here, and this is why. So we're looking at 3.2% mastery, or 3.2% maximum health every 5 seconds, right? Now, if I equip these boots, it goes up to 3.4. Oh, visual bug, and it's now sitting at 3.3. I don't know what happened there. It's just making it up as it goes, apparently. But as you can see, it does scale with your mastery. So, that could be quite useful in maybe like Mythic Plus or in the early stages of raiding and raid progression when you're trying, you need that extra little bit of survivability. Having a bit of mastery is really going to help you kind of stay alive a little bit, because as we know, hunters don't have a whole lot of survivability. I mean, you've got aspect of the turtle, you've got your exhilaration, but apart from that, there's not really too much to keep you alive. So that's a nice little benefit. It might, have more benefit than you realize. Our next big thing is kill command is now well, you now have kill command. That's the a major aspect of it, but it is a resource generator. So that's going to be your main way of generating your focus in order to use your abilities. So there's quite a few talents that play around kill command to kind of give it a lot of value. So um, initially I didn't really like kill command, but it's grown on me quite a bit, and I'm happy to kind of use it. So at least we've got that as a generator, so that's quite nice. Another slight change. I don't have it talented, but Mongoose Bite is now a talent. That's another one there for you. But it only stacks to 5. It doesn't stack to 6 anymore. It operates in the same manner, but it doesn't stack to 6. So a little bit easier to get to the max stack of Mongoose Bite. Quite nice. You don't have to be spamming it as much. Allows you to be maybe squeezing in a few extra abilities within that Mongoose Bite window. So that's quite cool. No more explosive trap. Traps have kind of been condensed and rearranged. So right now we've still got freezing trap, we've still got tar trap, but we don't have explosive trap. Instead, we've kind of got changes. We've got Wildfire Bomb, which kind of acts similar to how Explosive Trap worked. And there's a couple talents here, Wildfire Infusion and Guerrilla Tactics. We'll get into that in a little bit, but they will affect how Wildfire Bomb plays. So that's kind of cool. That obviously with Survival Hunter, it makes sense that our traps are quite pertinent to our rotation. So it's cool that they're making high value changes to them. And the last kind of real change is that Serpent Sting is replacing Lacerate. It operates slightly differently. As you'll see, again, there are going to be some talent setups to make it a big player in your rotation. So, that's quite interesting, quite cool. Oh, and almost forgot, coordinated assault. So this is going to be our one big cooldown. Aspect of the Eagle doesn't really count because it kind of, unless there's a tooltip error and I'm completely missing something, it only increases our range of Raptor Strike. So that's just going to kind of be a situational ability. Coordinated assault is our big cooldown. So you and your pet attack as one, increasing all damage you both deal by 20% for 20 seconds, which is huge. While coordinated assault is active, kill command's chance to reset is increased by 25% chance. So within that window, whilst you're doing more damage, you have the increased regeneration or the increased chance of focus regeneration. So that's really quite good. Goes hand in hand. Obviously, if you're doing more damage, you want to be able to fit more spells within that window, and that's going to have a little bit of a talent play around. So we'll kind of look into that later, how you can use that to your advantage. Harpoon deals 2,000 physical damage and generates 40 focus over 10 seconds. Not very much for that length of time. That is, by my calculations, 4 focus per second. Not incredible. But killing an enemy resets the cooldown of Harpoon, so quite a leveling talent, I would say. And the last one is Alpha Predator. This is going to be a big talent, I would say. It's going to be Kill Command now has 2 charges and deals 30% increased damage. So we'll kind of see how that playability works a little bit later on. The next talent is Guerrilla Tactics, which is going to give your Wildfire Bomb 2 charges, and the initial explosion has an increased damage by 100%. So very, very strong, and we'll look at that a little bit more in depth in just a little bit. The next talent is Hydra's Bite. Silencing fires arrows at 2 additional enemies near your target, and its damage over time is increased by 10%. So that's going to be really, really good for AoE aspects. Not very good at all for single target. And the last one is Butchery. So as you can see by this row, this is all AoE based. Guerrilla Tactics, you could argue, with Wildfire Infusion, as we'll see later, could have some single target play. So we'll see how that works. But for the most part, this is your AoE row. So Butchery is, there's no carve anymore. Butchery is just the base AoE for that, and that kind of just works how it always has. So, still quite good. This next row, I mean, that's all kind of just preference, I would say. I wouldn't say there's anything too major here to kind of focus on, so I'm just going to kind of skip that one. The level 60 row, we're going to look at Bloodseeker. Kill command causes the target to bleed for 800 damage over 8 seconds. You and your pet gain 10% attack speed for every bleeding enemy within 12 yards. So if you get a lot of good kill command resets and you're, using that on multiple targets, so kill command, switch target, kill command, maybe use a few spenders, then, switch target, kill command, you'll probably be able to, I don't know, get up to 34% attack, 30 to 40% attack speed, depending on, kind of your efficiency. So Steel Trap, I've not kind of played with this one a little bit too much because it's kind of counterintuitive for anything beyond just kind of being an immobilizer. So you throw a trap out and it will immobilize the target and it causes them to bleed over time. Now it is quite a high damage bleed. You can see like 8,000 damage, but it is over 30 seconds, so it's quite minimal over the time duration. But if you damage other than Steel Trap may break the immobilization effect. So if you use it, you can't really attack the enemy. That's probably going to be quite nice if you pull a couple mobs, you want to cleave down a few, and then you want to keep one target. Just who's this priest interrupting my video, man? So disrespectful. But yeah, so kind of just the CC ability there, and then Motive Crows. So Crows is still kind of going to be retained, but it's going to be shown as a talent. So good single target potential, I would say, and obviously probably going to be quite good for leveling, as it does get reset if the mob dies whilst Motive Crows is still active on the mob. The next row, we're going to be looking at Born to be Wild. The cooldown of aspect of the eagle, aspect of the cheetah, and aspect of the turtle are reduced by 20 seconds. I think that's probably going to be the best talent on the row for competitive gameplay. Post haste and binding shot, I think, still kind of operate in the same manner. So that's just going to be quite nice for kind of your movement and for trapping multiple targets and acting as a CC. But aspect of the eagle kind of being off cooldown, aspect of the cheetah allows for a little bit of mobility. That's going to probably be more favored in a competitive play. The penultimate row is going to be Tip of the Spear. Kill command increases the damage of your next raptor strike by 15%, stacking up to 3 times. That, at the minute, is very, very strong. Mongoose Bite, unfortunately, the damage hasn't quite scaled properly. I think it kind of needs a little bit of tweaking, because at the minute, Raptor Strike base does as much as about 3 or 4 Mongoose Bites, I think I found in my testing. So you have to use 3 or 4 globals with Mongoose Bite before it becomes more effective than a Raptor Strike. Which obviously in that same time you could have just done 3 or 4 Raptor Strikes, which have a building increasing multiplier damage effect. So at no stage is Mongoose Bite going to be more effective than Raptor Strike. And there's fewer buttons to, well, it replaces Raptor Strike, but it's kind of less to worry about with maintaining that, 14-second window. So I imagine Mongoose Bite is probably going to, need a little bit of a change, probably need increased damage to make it worthwhile. And as we mentioned earlier, it only has 5 stacks now, Mongoose Bite, and not 6. So that kind of covers Tip of the Spear and Mongoose Bite in one. I think they're kind of a little bit interconnected there. And the last one on the row is Flanking Strike, which, as we said, is now a talent. It operates in the same manner where it's a really high damage output, and it generates 30 focus, which is really, really good. The issue is that it's on a 40-second cooldown. So if you think if the damage is 3,000 in 40 seconds, now it is physical, so it ignores armor, so that's quite good. Um, but if you compare that to, I mean, even just Mongoose Bite, right? The initial Mongoose Bite, which you can use just whenever you want, that's going to be 1,000 damage, and I think at 4 or 5 stacks it goes up to about 2.5 to 3k based on my gear and level at the minute, which is level 112. So flanking strike I don't think is going to be very good unless the damage is increased, or maybe it's going to scale very, very well, because that 40-second cooldown is quite limiting on its ability to be useful. Now the last row, this is where the kind of really interesting talents come in. So we've got Birds of Prey, which is a passive. Raptor Strike. Raptor striking your pet's target extends the duration of coordinated assault by 1 second. So as we mentioned, coordinated assault, you and your pet's attack as one, increasing all damage you both deal by 20% for 20 seconds, and also increases the chance for kill commands to be reset by 25%. So enables your builder and increases your damage at the same time. So if you manage to kind of prolong that window, over that time, over that 20 seconds, you're going to be increasing it by quite a lot. So in my testing, in my current gearing level, I managed to get it to around about 32 seconds. But I've seen people, I've heard of people getting up past 40 seconds, 50 seconds ish. So, that's quite going to be probably quite a core of one of our single target builds. The next talent, this is really, really fun, but I would say quite a high skill cap, probably initially, until you get quite used to the play of this spell and kind of get used to the UI changes. So note Wildfire Bomb right now, and kind of the UI of it. So Lacy Wildfire Bomb with extra reagents, randomly giving it one of the following enhancements each time you throw it. And this cycles through, and this is consistent, so it isn't randomized. It will go shrapnel, pheromone, and then volatile every single time, so you can plan for it. So shrapnel bomb, shrapnel pierces the targets, that's plural, causing Raptor Strike and Butchery to apply a bleed for 9 seconds that stacks up to 3 times. So that's a really good single target as well as really good, really, really good AoE potential ability. So that's quite nice to have when that kind of procs. And then you've got Pheromone Bomb. Kill command has a 100% chance to reset against targets coated with pheromones. So I think how that operates is when you use your bomb on the target, the mob will kind of. I'll see if I can kind of give you an example. So see how the UI changes now. So it's going to be okay. So it's gone to Volatile Bomb. So we'll look at that in a second. We'll kind of cycle around to Shrapnel. And then to Pheromone. So, but we'll look at Volatile Bomb whilst we got it up. So it reacts violently with poison, causing an extra explosion against enemies suffering from your Serpenting and refreshes your Serpenting. So if we use Serpenting on the target, and we just let that kind of go. Now that's a lot. That's one target. Now imagine if you've got kind of your Viper's Venom, your Hydra's Bite, and you apply it to multiple targets very, very quickly. If you're going to be proccing that Volatile Bomb, it's going to be huge, huge AoE damage. So that's quite nice to have. Now it's cycled round to, I think, Shrapnel Bomb. So that's just going to be the Butchery Bleed, or the Raptor Strike and Butchery Bleed. You can see the duration on the spell. So it's only during that window. If we now Raptor Strike, it's not going to refresh. So that's quite nice. Quite a lot of damage, it would seem. 7,000 over 2.5 seconds. And the last one is Pheromone Bomb. So if we use that, you can see again, you've got this duration on the mob. It applies it to the mob. And then Kill Command, we were just getting instant resets on it. So that's just a really good time to regenerate your focus. It's quite a high skill cap-ish until you kind of get used to the playstyle. But definitely interesting. And the last one is Chakrams, which I will apply, but I don't think it is very good. I think when I was leveling, it seemed to be okay. 1,900 physical damage, and obviously it returns to you and pierces targets for 100% of the damage. So that might be quite your play style. So those are kind of the talent changes. We'll go a little bit more in depth with some of the builds. Now we have looked at the overall changes to talents. Now let's take a little bit more of an in-depth look at the possible rotations, starting off with the 2 most viable AoE rotations. So if we look at it, it's going to be Viper's Venom. Hydra's Bite. Bloodseeker, I mean, I guess you can kind of choose any one of the talents from this row, but Bloodseeker seems to make the most sense. Born to be Wild, again, you can probably choose any of these. It doesn't really kind of have an application in this build. Tip of the Spear, you could argue you could probably use any of these, but I think Raptor Strike probably just makes the most sense based on how things scale at the minute. And Wildfire Infusion, because we want that volatile bomb. We want that Serpent Sting explosion. So let's I'm gonna cycle through on our traps and try and kind of get that running so I can kind of show you how this is gonna work. It's basically gonna be operating with getting as many Serpent Stings up on as many targets as you can, and then proccing your volatile bomb, and you're gonna have a huge amount of damage. Okay, so I'm gonna mark up each target with a Serpent Sting. Let's see if we can sustain these nicely. And then we're gonna proc our bomb. So if I hit there, okay. Unfortunately, it's quite awkward with these target dummies to kind of get them to behave for me and be nice and clustered. But you can kind of see how that works, where you want to get your Serpent Sting on as many targets as you can, and then you proc the bomb, and when they're all stacked up, that causes an explosion of all of your Serpent Stings, as well as the Wildfire bomb, or the Volatile Bomb. So it allows for a huge damage output. Now, also, obviously, with this build, we've got the, and let's just proc there, Viper's Venom. So you can see our Serpent Sting is glowing. Now, when I use that, you'll notice that hits for 50,000, whereas base, it hits for about 12,000. You can see 12,000, 12,000. Now, obviously, these numbers are highly scaled because we're on low-level mobs. Let me see if we can get it to proc again. Okay, so we were looking at 12,000 without the proc. Now that's going to be hitting 50,000 with the 300% increased damage. So if you imagine, if you're going to be making a lot of use of Serpent Sting, trying to mark as many mobs as you can in a fight, it's going to really bode well to have increased that hit for 100 crit for 100,000 on that one. I think that's just it's just a low level target dummy, but it's really going to operate nicely to have increased Serpent Sting damage. You can see it procs quite regularly, so I really like this build as an AoE build. It's quite basic, quite easy to operate, quite easy to carry out, but it allows for really high damage based on how things are scaling at the minute. The next build I wanted to look at, let's reset combat here, is just a butchery build. So I'd probably go Alpha Predator in this one. Serpent Sting probably isn't going to be making as much of an appearance. Butchery, obviously, we want Butchery for the Butchery build. And then we're going to have Wildfire Infusion still. So we're going to retain this one. But it's going to basically allow for our Butchery to apply a bleed to the target. So if we've got the right bomb here. So we'll throw this bomb on the target, and then as we use our Butchery, it's going to apply a 3-stacking bleed for the duration. I think it lasts for around about 7-ish seconds. And it's quite a high amount of damage. So, I really kind of like that build. If you just want Butchery, you just kind of want to be able to jump into a fight, and you don't want to worry about multi-dotting a target, and you just want to spam Butchery whenever it's up, kind of acting like a brutal slash ability. That Wildfire Infusion just allows for the occasional increased damage to Butchery. So that could be quite nice. You could also potentially just take Chakrams. That might also be quite nice just for quite a basic AoE build. I'd say this is definitely, both AoE builds seem quite basic. Definitely not going to be as difficult as a single target rotation. Taking a look at our single target rotation or potential builds, we're going to take Alpha Predator, and Guerrilla Tactics will probably, be the most useful here. Butchery and Hydra's Bite don't really have a large application for single target. Bloodseeker is probably going to be the best on this row, although Murder of Crows is definitely going to have some single target potential. I would say Bloodseeker is just going to be more beneficial because it's going to make Kill Command even more valuable than it already is. It's going to allow for a Kill Command bleed, as well as 10% increased attack speed at the minimum. Obviously, if there are 2 targets and it's a slight cleave fight, you potentially, it could potentially go higher than 10%. Again, these don't really matter. That's kind of just up to choice with the level 45 and the level 75 talent row. The level 90 row is going to be tip of the spear. So kill command is going to increase the damage of your next raptor strike by 15%. This is probably going to be the best talent. We'll see what happens when Monkey's Bite gets increased damage. We'll see, maybe that might be, better. It might have a higher damage output. But for right now, Kill Command, again, going to be made more valuable, syncing up with your Raptor Strike, as we're going to see with Birds of Prey. The name of the game with this one is Raptor Strike, Kill Command, Raptor Strike, Kill Command. We're basically just going to want to try and get our Coordinated Assault to last as long as possible, and we're going to see how well we can do that. We'll get a stopwatch up here so we can record it. So the basic principle is, let me make sure I can do this right. So we'll start the timer there, pop Coordinated Assault, and then we just want to Raptor Strike. And, Kill Command, I'm not sure what's going to be better, whether it's going to be best to store up your kill commands until you're absolutely depleted on focus, and then just burn a bunch of raptor strikes, or whether you want to weave and alternate one kill command, one raptor strike, one kill command, one raptor strike. But however it may go, this is going to be the basic play style. Now you can see it should only last about 20 seconds. And there we go. So we managed to make coordinated assaults last not 20 seconds as it does in base, but around about 34-35 seconds, and that's just based on the gear that we have now at level 112. Obviously, the more haste we have, the more kind of kill commands I think we're going to get, and generally kind of we'll just be able to do that a little bit more effectively. So you can increase the duration quite nicely. Definitely going to have a lot of single target potential, because obviously we're doing 20% more damage in that window, and so we just want to get as many raptor strikes as possible. The next viable single target rotation, I would say, is to take Guerrilla Tactics and Wildfire Infusion. So this is the only real change. Again, we'll have to see what happens with this row. That's going to be down to the scaling and kind of the numbers on that. What we're going to want to do here is kind of just get a high value for our kill command with the resets, as well as kind of just the bombs as a whole. So I mean, if we use this now, and that's going to give our Raptor Strike a bleed, with our Wildfire Bomb. We've got multiple charges of Wildfire Bombs, so that means that we can kind of cycle through them more quickly, more effectively. So look, I can't quite remember. So this one's the kill command. So kill command resets going to allow us to get our focus up again and regenerated quite quickly. Trying to get our Serpent Sting up there. So that's going to be really, really quite nice for keeping our generators up, keeping a single target bleed on the mob. And then obviously if we've got Serpent Sting on the mob, we can use our bomb. And that's going to have a high output damage. Not going to be, as beneficial as the other two bombs on the row. So Shrapnel and Pheromone Bomb are definitely going to be the more favored over the Volatile Bomb on this one, compared to Volatile Bomb on the AoE build. But that's kind of just a little intro, a little look at the single target and the AoE potential rotations. So, I mean, in terms of feel, all of those feel really nice. Like, there's nothing there that really feels too horrendous. It's quite, succinct. So let's go back to this Birds of Prey build. I mean, we're gonna, throw up our Serpent Sting to begin with, probably throw a Wildfire Bomb, pop our coordinated assaults, and then it's literally just go, just kill command and just Raptor Strike. And probably don't want to be refreshing our Serpent Sting or our bombs at this rate, because we want to get as many Raptor Strikes as possible. But then, let's say, okay, blah blah, coordinated assault falls off. Then we just get our, get our bombs back up, get our Serpent Sting back up. Make use of these dots on the target, be refreshing those, and then you kind of just wait around until the next coordinated assault comes back up. So it's very, very stripped down, very basic, but it allows for just these periods of just like, all right, let's mash our keys. Or with Wildfire Infusion, I mean, even in AoE or single target, Wildfire Infusion is going to have I'd say, the highest skill cap of any build of these that I've looked at. but I think as time goes by, as you get used to the UI, you know, you can see when I was doing that one with the single target, I wasn't quite used to the UI. I didn't know which bomb was coming up next. But, you know, this is just a brief look. I will get better as time goes by, hopefully. And so, you know, the builds seem quite nice. Definitely more refreshing than they were in Legion. But that's going to kind of conclude this section, and we'll take a look at, you know, BFA expectations going forward. I did quickly just want to mention, completely forgot to mention PvP talents. Obviously, you've got War Mode toggled on, which you can in any city. Oh, well, I guess you have to be in Orgrimmar at the minute. It doesn't work in Thunderbluff, unfortunately. This is going to enable PvP, you know, world PvP, and activate your PvP talents. So this obviously isn't going to make any use in competitive gameplay in terms of Mythic Plus and raiding, but it'll be very nice for world PvP. And I'm not sure how these are going to kind of work with you know, arena and stuff. I imagine they will obviously still be activated in that. So these are all kind of just basically, you know, I won't take too in-depth a look at these because they're all just mostly survivability. We're not going to be really using them in as heavily or using them at all really in a PvE environment, except maybe when you level and doing world quests and that kind of thing. For the most part, they just kind of operate as you know, survivability. Kind of just scrolling through a couple of these. So they're quite nice to have, quite interesting. I will also mention that your pets now, it doesn't matter which pet you have, you kind of just choose them for whichever, like they're all going to do the same damage, really. It's just going to give you a different ability. So, yeah, Frosty is going to give you Bloodlust. Um, Tenacity is going to give you more survivability. Cunning is going to give you probably quite a nice like PvP ability with removing your roots and movement impairing effects. So that probably, you know, be quite nice to have in PvP. Potential use in PvE, we'll see. So that's kind of just how pets are going to operate as well as PvP talents. So I just wanted to mention that briefly. So I just want to give a brief kind of update on how survival feels in BFA beta. For me, it feels really quite nice. Definite improvement on Legion. If the abilities aren't scaled well and damage just doesn't come out when you're pressing your buttons, then, you know, like the issue right now with Mongoose Bite, it's just not going to matter because if the damage isn't there, no one's going to want to play it. No one's going to play, you know, in competitive rating, competitive Mythic Plus, no one is going to play a spec that's not going to do any damage. You know, even if it is quite simplistic, if the damage isn't there, people just aren't going to play it. I'm quite positive. I think Blizzard have made some really good changes. I'm really happy with Survival Hunter, and, you know, Feral Druid is going to be my main 100%. I'm staying true to that one. But, you know, as the channel suggests, but definitely Survival Hunter is going to be my alt character. No question. Guys, that's going to conclude this week's video. There is a little bit of a kind of video sequence at the end. You know, there was the wacky, weird intro at the beginning. We're going to kind of look at a little bit more kind of behind the scenes, look at how I was producing that, and a few more, hopefully, funny clips. I mean, I really enjoyed myself. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and enjoy the next scene coming up. I thought it was funny. If you didn't, let me know and I'll stop doing them. But just brings a little bit of personality to the channel, which I hope you'll appreciate. Apart from that, guys, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitch. I'm so super close to being able to be affiliate on Twitch, which is going to be really nice. Definitely encourage me to be streaming more. Definitely helps you guys support me if you want to. And yeah, and kind of just with Twitter, keeps you up to date on the latest news, things I've found on beta or find interesting. Check it out, guys. You know, I'll keep you posted. Thanks for watching. Peace.
That's pretty neat. The greatest thing about nature is...
Oh shit. What are you doing? Is that meant to be camouflage? I can see you, idiot.
IRL workout stream. Go Bell Grills, go! Kill command! This the new B-mount blizzard? No flying, huh? Okay, so I've been out now. I've drank my own piss.
Joe, that was water.
For the last time, it's Cyber Grills.
Oh shit.
So, I've been out for about 20 minutes. Drank my own piss. Found some flowers. Oh, that flower was so gross. Where are you, Bell Girls? Yeah, you keep running.